This is Chicago, and this is Chicago's giant hole in the ground that's been an eyesore along the beautiful lakefront for over 15 years, until now. Construction crews returned in 2024 to the infamous circular pit, which of course is the lone remnant of the failed Chicago Spire project. Only this time, the story is far different than that of the 2000s. So what is this new construction project, and why was the Chicago Spire abandoned in the first place? My name is Gavin, or Chicago Geographer, and I've lived in this beautiful city for my entire life of almost 24 years. I make geography videos about all kinds of topics every week, so make sure to subscribe to stay in the loop, and let's get started. If you're from the area or follow architecture or urbanism news, you've almost definitely heard of the Chicago Spire. You also probably know why it was never completed, so I won't take up too much of your time explaining it. The spire would have soared to a height of 2,000 feet, becoming the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Designer of this behemoth of a skyscraper is Santiago Calatrava, a Spanish architect known for his futuristic-looking projects. Calatrava's buildings, although beautiful, sometimes draw criticism for extreme costs and construction delays. With the spire's estimated price tag of $1 billion and obviously never actually getting built, you could say it fits right in with that criticism. But in reality, many more factors than the building itself led to its demise. The Spire was announced in 2005, but almost immediately its developers faced financing issues. The real estate market was known to be overheating at the time, and for months the company could not secure sufficient funds for this luxury condo building. So the project was handed over to Ireland-based Shelbourne Development Group in 2006, spearheaded by Garrett Kelleher, who claimed he could provide much better upfront financing. The Spire was revised to its final design by 2007, and in June of that year, construction work began. But of course, the global economy then plunged into the Great Recession, and disaster after disaster struck. Construction work was halted because Calatrava said he hadn't been paid yet. Up until this point, all that had been built was the foundation hole. The project's main lender, Anglo-Irish Bank, was on the brink of collapse by the end of 2009. Legal action against Kelleher began piling up for unpaid loans and sales office rent. And on top of all this, Anglo-Irish Bank filed a foreclosure lawsuit, but then as the bank neared its own demise, Ireland's National Asset Management Agency acquired the Spire property. Hope was not entirely lost as late as 2013 when two Chicago companies, Related Midwest and Atlas Asset Management, reached an agreement to save the Spire. In October 2013, however, Kelleher's development company was led to bankruptcy, and in the fall of 2014, he missed a required payment to Related Midwest. And so, on November 4th, 2014, Related Midwest took full control of the site and decided that they would not build the Spire. The death of the Western Hemisphere's tallest building was finalized, with the empty foundation hole all that remained of Calatrava's towering dreams. For several years after this, as the hole continued to gather rainwater and international notoriety, Related Midwest looked into various alternatives for the property. A 2016 proposal called Gateway Tower would have matched the Spire's 2,000-foot height, but this never came to fruition. Its renderings are seriously impressive, by the way, with a large support structure across Lakeshore Drive that would have had a funicular inside. Zaha Hadid's firm was also working on plans for the site, but theirs too fell through the cracks. Finally, in 2018, they decided on a plan for the site, a design from architecture firm Skidmore, Owings & Merrill of a two-tower complex connected by a large podium. Lead architect for this project is David Childs, who you might know as the architect behind One World Trade Center. The taller tower of the two was proposed to be 1,100 feet tall, which would rank among the tallest buildings in both Chicago and the whole country, while the shorter tower would be 850 feet. Renderings show lots of stone incorporated into the design, as well as large bay windows inspired by classic Chicago skyscraper windows. More immediately obvious, though, is the tapered and staggered step-like shape of the buildings themselves. This is not just an aesthetic choice, but also an impressive architectural technique that vastly increases wind resistance, and I highly recommend this video by Stuart Hicks if you want to learn more. Throughout this video, you might have noticed the squalid plot of land east of the Chicago Spire site. Under this proposal, it would be converted to an actually functioning and enjoyable public park space. The towers themselves would contain a hotel, along with luxury condo and rental units. Oh, and I should probably mention the name of this project. It's called 400 Lakeshore, which is, surprise surprise, its street address too. Among the architecture and urbanism crowd, this proposal was really well received and deemed a worthy inheritor of Chicago's most infamous construction site. However, here in Chicago, the final word when it comes to approving new construction goes to the alderperson of the ward where the project is located. There are 50 alderpersons in total, representing the 50 wards of the city. 400 Lakeshore is in the 42nd ward, whose alderman is Brendan Riley, and he blocked the initial proposal, taking issue with various aspects of the project's integration into the surrounding neighborhood. In other words, this was a healthy dose of NIMBYism, with the alderman reflecting the concerns of nearby residents about the project. Riley advocated for several changes that would help him reconsider, including to remove the hotel rooms, restrict access to the towers on North Water Street, which passes right by a bunch of townhomes, implement a security plan for pedestrian access around the area, and so on. Again, standard NIMBY stuff. The developers and architects got straight to work on revisions, not wanting to abandon their beautiful towers, of course. Given the site's history of project abandonment, it could have been a pretty huge blow to their reputations if 400 Lakeshore failed. Chicago City Council extended the zoning rights for the developers, allowing them to have ample time to rework the site without needing reapproval. After what Riley called, quote, a long and difficult negotiation, in early 2020, the tweaked proposal was unveiled. This unfortunately stunted the height of the towers significantly. The taller tower shrunk over 200 feet down to just 875 feet, with the shorter tower cut down to 765. This was partly due to the removal of the hotel portion of the sites, which would have had 175 rooms. Condominium plans were also discarded, with only rental units offered instead, and the 4-story podium connecting the towers was axed in favor of a ground-level retail space. Brendan Riley approved of these changes, and in June 2020, City Council made it official and gave the green light for construction to begin. But this construction site is seemingly cursed with having things approved at the worst possible times. 2020 was, of course, the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, which prevented construction from beginning for quite a while. After years of being put on hold, things finally got moving again in 2023, with a caisson permit issued in the fall and a tower crane permit issued in January 2024. Now, at some point between the project's 2020 approval and construction beginning, the taller tower got even shorter and is now set to be just 858 feet. I'm not exactly sure when this change took place, but maybe you can let me know in the comments if you know any more. What's quite fascinating about this construction is how they're reusing the Chicago Spire's foundation hole. It's planned to be incorporated into the foundation of the North Tower, the taller of the two. In May 2024, they began trimming back portions of the hole that aren't conducive to the new design. I have to say, it's both a relief and, in a way, surreal that the Chicago Spire hole didn't end up completely useless after all. Anyway, construction has been ongoing for several months now, and in June 2024, there was an official groundbreaking ceremony. The two towers are being built separately, and this current construction phase is just for the North Tower. If all goes to plan, it'll be completed and open in 2027, at which point we can only hope that the shorter South Tower remains in the cards. And that's how everything stands today. The Chicago Spire site has been through a lot in the last 2 decades, and it's really amazing to finally see something going vertical there. I really hope you enjoyed this quick breakdown of the site's history and future. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.